I don't know a lot about the Decred.
Kidding about printing.
Flooding the system with money.
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that.
We will do whatever we need to do to make sure that there's enough cash in the bank.
I wish I was more educated on Decred. Decred. He is bullish on Decred.
So we're going to do this video slightly different. We're going to delve straight into the content. Now, one of the big questions that I see all the time is how do you find out about Decred? How do you find out what's going on? Decred seems really complex. How do I just kind of delve into it? So in this session, I want to kind of take you down my journey and how it started and sort of the things that I looked for. So I've got a whole bunch of tabs open here to show you some of the content that you can start with. By far the best resource is the Decred website. Now, when I was looking for a project or when I'm looking for projects, there's a whole bunch of things I look at. Obviously, I'm looking for this maximum supply, 21 million preferably. I'm looking to make sure it's got an open ledger. And then further down the line, one of my check boxes is making sure that it has ample wallets. Now, I don't want to see the wallets just third party. I want to see that the actual community are building their own wallets and those wallets are really sound. Now, if you click on this is the main page, so this is decred.org. If you click on this all wallet download, it will show you some of the wallets that are available. Now, one of the first areas of development for Decred was the command line wallet, which is absolutely great. And if you delve in with command line, a lot of the big developers absolutely prefer this. Me, I'm not a command line person. I much prefer applications. So when I see Decredition, the wallet, and how stable it is and how thorough it is, it kind of got me a little bit excited actually. It was like, wow, this is something they built themselves. This isn't replicated on any other wallet I've ever seen, and it's fully functioned for the Decred project. It includes all your staking mechanisms. It includes obviously the basic wallet materials like sending, receiving, and storing, and it also includes a download for Mac, Linux, and Windows, which is absolutely great. The first thing I would do for you guys if I wanted to get involved in Decred is actually download the Decredition wallet and have a look. And you'll start to realize, actual fact, this is one of the reasons it's so powerful. Now, the other thing is, as well as having Decredition, which is available on the Mac, and basically because it's available on Linux, I know it can't ever be shut down. I can just pass my keys into that platform. So that gives me a lot of hope. The next thing is, if I'm carrying little bits of money around me, I want to make sure I've got a mobile wallet. Now, these guys, Decred, develop an Android wallet and an iOS. So, which is great. In actual fact, the iOS wallet, which this one I use, is so solid. It's always been improved. It's always been synchronized, and it's great. And once again, I would download this just to see how it works and just to see that you're comfortable. So one of the first things I do is make sure they develop their own wallet. If a project doesn't have its own wallet that's being developed in-house, that's kind of a negative for me. So there's something I do look at. Obviously they do want their third-party wallets as well, and obviously Decred has loads of people that are willing to put them on the third party, but I do get quite dubious about third party wallets and how the private keys work. Some of them kind of seem to bundle all the keys in as one, and I think to myself, well, if this wallet ever crashed, what's the chances of me being able to pull out my keys or my coins? So by having their own wallets and making sure that it's a solo wallet, it does give me a lot of confidence. And the final thing, you want to make sure that it's available on hardware wallets as well. Hardware wallets are one of the most secure wallets that you can get. So you want to make sure it's available on a Ledger or a Trezor. So straight away, that's one of the things I look at. And if you're on the Decred website, there's absolutely abundance of information you can find out about the project. But ultimately, just by downloading the wallet and saving your keys and storing your keys in a safe place, and then looking at the wallet and seeing how it acts, will give you a lot of confidence in Decred, just to see kind of like, yeah, this is really cool. They're developing all this stuff in-house. And once again, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I always go to the Get Started page. And if you want to see the Blog Explorer, you can go in there. You want to see the proposal system. You want to see how the staking works, exchanges that Decred's available on, and so on and so forth. Also, if you're a developer and you want to get involved, remember, Decred has its own treasury, and they can pay developers. So the more developers want to get involved, you can start by going into the bug bounty, or you can contact another developer and get in touch and kind of go that way as well, which is absolutely great. So the first place that I look to for all the information is the Decred website, and it is phenomenal. The next thing then, there is a new website called withdecred.org. Now, these guys have only just started the last couple of weeks, but the content that these guys are providing, mostly word-based, but it gives you such an in-depth view of Decred as a project. And what you have to do here is you have to scroll through and then you have to click next. You can't skip through to articles, which is quite good. If you kind of read all the articles all the way through, it will give you so much information. It kind of breaks down every aspect, and the articles have been written by several members of the community, and they've been edited by the community as well to make sure the information is accurate. Now, the one thing I find, even with my own stuff, is sometimes I'm a little bit flippant with the information. So I'll be like, oh yeah, it's something like that. Whereas these guys, they've proofed everything to make sure it's the exact information, that the information is exactly right. So you're not kind of wondering, oh, is that right? Isn't that right? It's actually going to give you the full information. So what you do here is you just click on the Continue Reading 101, and then you just read through it. And like I said, it's some really great information. The With Decred project is a fantastic one, and as it builds up, this is only 2 weeks old now. As it builds up, it's giving away so much great information, completely free. So as you scroll to the bottom, I mean, look how long and in depth this article is, and it's absolutely amazing. As you scroll to the bottom, once you read through all this information, you start understanding the basics. Then you get the opportunity to go to the next article and read on. So I really like this, and it's one of the things that I'm working my way through and making sure that I understand the project even more fully than I already do, just to kind of bolster my confidence. So withdecred.org, an absolutely must to go and visit for some really great information to get you started, and hopefully over the coming weeks, over the coming months, we'll start seeing more articles being written, and maybe some more dynamic content as well, which would be great. So where I started, the Decred assembly is an absolute must. If you want to get into Decred, and you feel like listening to some old podcasts, you should definitely do this. Now, I've literally been through all of these several times. Any podcast with Dave Collins on, with Jake on, with Marco on is absolutely worth. These guys are they're just mind-blowing. The amount of information they give you is absolutely great, and they tell you how things work in a really easy to understand way, and they also explain to you why they created it. So you can go all the way back to the beginning, and although these podcasts are a few years old now, they are still as relevant today as they were back then, and they actually walk you through where it's come from and where it's going. Absolutely amazing. But like I said, I mean, the ones that I like, Dave Collins just is an absolute, it's brilliant to listen to as he breaks it down. So definitely, this is the Decred assembly, and there's a load of podcasts here. They haven't developed any for a little while now, but I'm hoping when the next release of Decred comes out, we'll get another podcast and we'll get to see how, the thought process behind that. But I definitely recommend the Decred assembly for anyone that wants to learn about Decred and its background. It's absolutely phenomenal. So the next one that I look at is the Decred YouTube channel. Now we've got Exodus here, who's a contractor for Decred, and he pumps out bi-weekly videos to tell you what's going on. They're normally about 10 minutes long, but they're absolutely great, and he'll literally say, right, this is what's happening this week, here's where the information is, go and have a look, and he'll get you involved in the community to make sure you're kept up to date. And to have it broken down, because actual fact, one thing we don't appreciate is actually how much does go on in the community on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and this is just your chance to kind of touch base and have a kind of an overview of what's going on. So I definitely recommend listening to the bi-weekly updates. The next one is Mr. Black's Decred in Depth, well worth listening to. If you go back just a few weeks or a few months, and these have been going well over a year now, and they're absolutely great. But he actually brings on contributors, and he brings on contractors, and he brings on guests to talk about their perspective. So you'll see perspective from miners, you'll see perspective from developers, you'll see perspective from VCs that want to get into the project. Absolutely loads of different perspectives, and why they feel Decred might be a project worth looking at. Once again, I would go all the way back to the beginning, and there's absolutely loads of these, but I'd go back all the way back to the beginning and start from scratch and listen through if you've got enough time. And then finally, for now, is Rough Consensus. Now, Mr. Black's in here, and you've got Checkmate, and you've got, and I always get this, the pronunciation is Pablo Nino, on this one. And this is a great podcast for people that just want to understand kind of like macroeconomics. Although they're not fully Decred, most of it is centric to Decred, but they look at the economy and they look at what's going on in the world. And they some really great discussions that actually happen around these guys. So this is also well worth listening to. This has only been around for a few months now, but they're already up to 10 episodes. So I hope that was useful. I hope that will give you a really nice start to kind of learning about Decred. So let's just go over the channel. So it's decred.org. You've got withdecred.org. You've got the YouTube channel Decred Assembly. You've got the Decred channel on YouTube. And then you've got Decred In Depth podcast. And then you've got the Rough Consensus podcast. Both of these, Decred In Depth and Rough Consensus, are available on Apple Podcasts as well, which is great. And you can download it onto your phone, which is great. So if you enjoyed this content, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a comment if you want to, subscribe to the channel. If you want to make a small donation, that's absolutely great, always welcome. And I'll see you next time.